Hello and welcome to the JTrain Podcast. This is JTrain Freid coming to you live from the West Village of Manhattan, and today is a Chit Chat Wednesday with a very special guest, Rosebud Baker. Rosebud has a Netflix special that has come out last night, I think, so it's brand new, and we have her here. We have the exclusive, the JTrain Podcast exclusive, and here's the thing about her special, which is very cool. She taped half of it while pregnant and the other half after she had just had the baby. So you're going to get two different perspectives from one comedian. I think that's really cool to take the medium of a stand-up special and kind of turn it on its head a little bit, do your own thing. So I want you guys to watch a special because Rosebud is hilarious. Then listen to this podcast first so you get to know Rosebud a little bit. We play a game called Peaks and Pits, the highs and lows of pregnancy, of having the baby, being a new mother, all those things. So it's a really fun episode. I want you to enjoy. And go on Netflix and watch her special. Do it early, do it often. That is the most helpful thing you can do for a comedian. Welcome to the new JTrain Podcast. Hello and welcome to the JTrain Podcast. This is JTrain Freid coming to you live from the West Village of Manhattan. That's right, every Wednesday is a Chit Chat Wednesday where I have a friend or comedian or expert on the show to chit chat with me. Today we are lucky enough to have all three: friend, comedian, and an expert in the craft of being a comedian and mother and wife. She has a new special that is out on Netflix right now. It's called The Motherlode. Rosebud Baker, thank you for coming back on the show. What's happening?
It was really hard for me not to laugh through that intro.
You got to give a proper intro. We have to do this correctly.
At being a wife is hilarious.
Listen, you're doing it, so it makes you an expert. I don't know a lot of moms who are like, like when they comment on someone's mom blog that they're angry at whatever the mom advice they gave, that's someone claiming to be an expert. I see very few people just going, nah. I guess everyone thinks they're bad at it. Do you think you're good at it, bad at it, wife, mom? Where do you rank yourself? Comedian, wife, mom. Where do you, one, two, three? Fuck, marry, kill. Comedian, wife, mom.
I would say I'm a pretty good comedian.
Uh-huh.
I'm a pretty good mom, and I'm an okay wife.
What makes you say that?
Because it's just like the last priority.
That should just tell everyone. Like when I'm like dating someone and I'm like, I'm just not ready to commit yet. Like I should just play that. Like I'm not ready to be the last priority. Like I can't do that.
Right. It feels like, to me, I'm happy like this. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say that I'm my husband's first priority,
Okay.
And I think I'm happy this way. Like we're like a support system to each other's first priority, right? Which is of course our kid. And then our second priority is comedy. And then our third priority is each other.
Hey, you doing okay? Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm happy like that. I always wanted to be married because it felt more comfortable than dating, just in the sense that it's like, all right, hopefully you had a good day, but like, let's just sit on our bed and scroll on our phones together.
All of that is out of the way. I don't have to get to know someone. I don't have to like remember something about them. It's all just put into place once the relationship is started.
That's all I want. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to be.
There's something I yearn towards, like the comfortability, the not worrying about something. Like, did I get back to that person? Like, and there's a piece of me that's like, man, I would have so much time if I wasn't like, looking at a dating app and then going back to my Instagram and then going, oh my God, what do I write back to that person I kind of don't want to see tonight because I'm a little bit tired? Like, it's a lot of like wheels turning for something that's so stupid.
Steps.
Right.
It's a lot of steps for something that ends up being hopefully no work at all.
Right.
So
you said you came in the house and you were like, the paparazzi was there. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. Yeah, I was like running in here,
Mm-hmm.
computer on the floor. I'm standing over my Zoom, like
Mm-hmm.
it was an unacceptable angle that I, you know, started the meeting on. This
Well,
one's
now
not
you're
as
good.
good
I mean,
either.
this is like
I,
magical. There's like
I,
plants and shit. Who has plants?
I can prop it up, you know what I mean? Like I can get it together, but I came in the house and my kid is here with her friend who lives downstairs and
Mm.
both of the nannies are here. And
Two nannies.
I two nannies. What our friend downstairs, her nanny was here and then my nanny with our kid.
Mm-hmm.
So I came in the front door and Minnow saw me and was like immediately like, "Hi, hi," and just starts running up, like she's like obsessed. It's like every time
Right.
I walk in the room, it's like her favorite celebrity just walked in.
Do
So it's
you
like
love that? Is it
I'm
like
obsessed with it. It's
right?
amazing. But then if I have to do something else, if I have to like get on a podcast,
Right.
it's heartbreaking. I have to look her in the eyes and be like, "Sorry, mommy has to be on a podcast
Right.
now." And I just,
Mommy has to talk to a single guy in his apartment in a studio.
well, I'm sitting on my fucking bed. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's not, it's crazy to be like, to have childcare so that you can do a podcast, to
Right.
even
But
look my nanny in the eye takes a lot of courage.
right. She's like, I have a podcast of my own to do later. Like,
No, she
she's
looks
like,
at me like
what?
I have a real job, bitch.
Right. I know CPR, and you are going to
Yeah,
do a podcast. Yeah.
right. You would have to call me if your kid was choking.
Right. You have no ability. She likes you for some reason when I'm the one
Right. I know.
caring
I'm
for
like,
it.
yeah, I mean, I don't deserve any of the praise I feel like that I get.
So the Netflix special is out. I haven't gotten to watch it because we're taping this prior to it coming out, which I try to
Yes.
watch them. I love watching it on stage. Everyone's going to love it. Everyone make sure I repeat this every episode. Watch it early, watch it often, because we want it to do well. And
Yes.
when you get to it early, when everyone else is getting to it, it helps, Father Algorithm look kindly upon Rosebud and
Right.
push it out to
Yeah.
more people just like you. It's called the
Yeah.
Motherlode. You're pregnant in it for the whole thing?
No, so I'm pregnant. So I shot it a year apart. So like I shot an hour when I was 8 months pregnant, and then I shot
Mm.
the second hour a year after I'd had her. And
So it's 2 hours?
no, so I combined the two into one special.
Unbelievable. That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah. Yeah. And I was like, to be honest with you, I was like, I shot that second hour and I was like, I don't really need the first hour. Like I like the way the second hour fit together and I liked the arc of it. And I had a great editor and I was like, hey, if it doesn't work, I'm not so married to this concept that we
Hmm.
have to do this. I was like, if you want to just if it looks better and it feels better as a story to just use the second hour, then do that. But she was so fucking awesome. She did a first pass and sent me um one cut of both of them spliced together and another cut of just the second hour so I could look at them both.
Hmm.
And I was like, she sent it to me and I was like, damn, I actually have no fucking idea what to do now
Right.
because I like what you did so much that I can't like I don't know how to make a decision here.
What?
And what?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, what were you gonna say?
What was the difference between the two? Like, is there an attitude difference? Like, is there like, are you,
Well,
can you
one
tell a
of them
difference? Like,
literally
as a comedian, pregnant you versus not pregnant you. You're watching
yeah, you can
this.
definitely tell a difference. I mean, it's about a
What's the
70
difference?
pound difference.
Well, I mean,
Um,
other
yeah.
than that, there's a human not inside of you.
Well, it was the jokes that I told from a pregnant perspective, and then the response to those jokes, like like it was like you hear me tell this joke as a pregnant person, and then a year later, as someone who's been a mom for a year,
Hmm.
I talk more about it. So like to me, that ended up being more interesting than just an hour about having had a kid
Right.
and what that was like. So she eventually she was like, just go with the cut that's more interesting to you. And I
Right.
was like, well, this is more interesting. I mean, I shot them both in the same place. I shot them both wearing black. You know what I mean? Like
Were the
everything is,
crowds were the crowds nicer to you as a pregnant person versus not a pregnant person? Is there a difference in how they react to you? Is there a difference to like, are the when the jokes don't land as a pregnant person, do you feel like they feel even worse for you? They're like, "Oh my god, she's a mother." Like cuz it's like you're wearing like when you're pregnant, the baby's there, like
yeah.
it's a constant reminder. When you're not, you're just
You
you,
can get away with
like
more. You can get away
right.
with more when you're pregnant, for sure. I mean, there's like
Mm,
a portion of the special where I don't even think I was telling a joke. I think I sort of riffed. And I just went on like a hormonal tangent where I just was
mhm.
talking about how useless men are and what the, like how infuriating it is to like be pregnant and look at my dumb husband and just like be like, you can't do any of this, you fucking
Right.
asshole. And I'm sweating, like you see upper lip sweat, like I'm fully having like a hot flash while I go through it. So, and I'm like, if I did that now, no one would find that funny. But I was pregnant,
Right.
and so it was funny.
Right,
Like,
you're in the atmosphere of like, oh my god, if I were uncomfortable, if I were holding a human inside of me, I would be mad too. It's
right.
like it's like doing local humor a little bit because
Yeah.
like at
Yeah.
least everyone knows the street signs. Like you're
Yes.
wearing the pregnancy, you're
Right.
wearing the thing that
The
you're
premise
complaining
is
about.
right there. It's
Right.
like in people's faces. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a roast battle in that way too, where you're
Right.
looking at the guy that the joke is about. So,
Right, like
yeah.
you get to look at their face, and you made fun of the face, and everyone hears a joke, sees their face. Oh my god, you nailed it!
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Right. So that's nice. I mean, that part was great. And I do miss it a little bit. I don't miss like being pregnant at all, but I
I
miss
I
that
I wanted to
ability to
play.
say whatever.
I wanted to play a game with you. You ready?
Okay.
So this is the special's called the Motherlode,
Hmm.
and it's on Netflix. So everyone, we want you to go watch it, add it to the queue, like it, hit that thumbs up, do all those things that help Rosebud because she's fantastic, and you're going to love the special. Also, hearing about it now, that's a cool thing. Like we've seen the pregnant special, we've seen the not, the I had a baby special. This back and forth between pregnant and not pregnant, that's pretty awesome. It's a feat.
Thanks, dude.
Okay.
Thanks.
We're going to play peaks and pits.
Okay.
What was the peak? What was the pit of, we'll start with being pregnant. What was the
Oh,
best
man.
part about being pregnant? What was the worst part about being pregnant? Or a
Literally
moment?
the best part about being pregnant um is for me was giving birth. You know what I mean? Which kind of, does that still count?
So
Does
the
it, I
act
mean,
of it, like being in the hospital, was that like, you're saying like the
no, I
whole,
had a C-section. I went the easy way and I'm proud of that. But
I
like
can't believe anyone, can you believe anyone does the other way? Is it
I
really, like, is that a crazy person? Like, I know that's a
I
bad thing to say, but like to actually invite that pain, I know,
it's
listen, religion and whatever, if someone has aversions to drugs, fine. But
right.
if none of that exists,
Dude, my best friend gave birth unmedicated twice.
twice.
Okay? Naturally. Just gave birth unmedicated twice. And each time I FaceTimed her right after she pushed him out. And she picked up the phone and the look on her face, it was as if she was in a car accident and the car flipped over 3 times and she had just realized she's still alive. Like it was the way she looked at me, she was like, "Don't do this. Don't fucking do this." And I was like, "Yeah, no, I never had any plan to do this, but thank you." Um, I I don't think I would never have the inclination to do it after seeing her
Mm-hmm.
having done it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that
Like
sounds
I got a
horrifying.
real
I mean,
honest
even
look at it.
hearing it third hand from you, I'm like, no, 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 no,
No,
no, no.
absolutely not. I mean, I literally read on a Reddit thread somewhere that a C-section, and it's supposedly like an offensive thing to say that like a C-section is the easy way. I was like, that's what I want. Like
Right.
I read somebody shitting on C-sections as like the easy way out, and I was like, it sounds amazing. I want that.
Well, that's like
I've
Ozempic. Like, oh, I don't have to go to the gym and worry about this and think about food every minute of my life.
That's what I'm saying. I'm
Right.
like,
Why wouldn't I do that? Yeah.
right. So I had a great scheduled C-section, went in at 8 o'clock, fucking had my baby by 9 and was being rolled out,
Yeah.
And that was amazing. And also just like, you spend 9 months kind of like, I was on the road. I was pregnant on the road. I spent all these like nights in a hotel room where I kind of felt like I was like with somebody else because I was like watching her like move around in my stomach and shit. And then I was like, I can't believe there's a person in there that I'm going to meet one day. Like I'm going to literally meet her. And so getting the chance to actually meet her was amazing. What
was the pit?
There's so many. The whole thing sucks ass. It's
whole
horrible. Listen, there's like little peaks along the way that keep you going, right? Like you find out what the gender is, or you get an ultrasound, or you see them kick for the first time, and that kind of gets you through the next like couple months. But like beyond that, the drudgery of it and the you feel sick and you're just it's like being sick for like 9 straight months.
Brutal.
And it gave me a new appreciation for people who are like terminally ill, like people who are like suffering from like chronic pain.
Right.
I'm like, this is a life that I can't. You got to have such a good fucking attitude to live this life, and I just don't have it.
Okay, peaks and pit of being a mom.
Okay, so the peak of being a mom is, for me, like, obviously just like, it sounds so fucking simple, but it's like walking in her room in the morning and her like popping up and going, hi,
Right.
That is the peak of being a mom. Like seeing a person whose like elbows you made be like, use those elbows to be like waving.
To do her Hail Hitler if you're watching on
yes,
YouTube.
your little Elon wave. But like
she learns quick.
Right?
Their brains are like sponges. Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah.
She like, the pit is that it feels like you can't complain about it because people are like, you sound ungrateful, or they go like, this is why I would never be a mother. It's like, you're still a fucking human, and you don't realize until you become a mom that nobody, not even you, respect moms or respect what they do.
That
so
is
like
that is a hilarious conundrum you're in. To be in like Brooklyn, New York, like to be in New York, a place like this,
right.
You can't complain about how hard it is because there's other moms that are like, I'm doing this shit too. And then you can't be like how hard it is to your like single friends because they're like, who would even have a kid? Like I would much rather be in like red state. We all agree this is the worst thing that could ever happen to us is to have a nanny and 2 kids and be married. Like I kind of envy that. That version. Totally. At least the animal you're dealing with. At least you're dealing with like passive aggressive judgment, and that's it.
Right. And that's kind of why I ended up going in the special with like the 2 different sides, because I was like, there's a whole other side to this whole fucking thing that I was not prepared for, that I didn't really expect, that like it's so fucking isolating, in New York, where it's like nobody fucking has kids. Nobody wants kids.
Right.
It's, I don't even think, I would say it's almost frowned upon. And
We are sponsored, people. Eating well shouldn't take up your whole day. Factor makes it easy. With meals you can heat and eat in just 2 minutes. Everything arrives fresh and fully prepared. It's perfect for any busy lifestyle. With 40 options to choose from each week, just select your picks and wait for them to show up on your door easy. Whether you're on a keto diet, want to up your protein, or watching your calories, there's something for everyone. Here's the thing about staying healthy. It's two things that get us off track. It's portion control and it's creativity. When I go to the market, I buy too much food and I end up eating it all. And then I'm feeling full, even though I was trying to be healthy in the first place. Also, when you try to make healthy stuff, you got like 2 recipes that you can do. You do grilled chicken, you do salmon. They have 40 options, and they're going to give you the right portion. Those are the 2 things that are hardest, and that's what keeps you going longer, staying healthier longer, having that creative dinner that you wouldn't have made yourself, and the right portion, big deal. The meals are top tier. I've had them. They're very good. They're delicious, and especially if you're trying to stay healthy, you're not going to make, a lasagna for one. You're just not going to do that, and they're going to have stuff like that. And the convenience, you just heat it and eat it. It's there. And again, another way I go and I'm not as healthy as I'd like to be is when I start thinking about it. What am I going to eat? Oh, it's going to be this perfect combination of like different and healthy and delicious. They're going to do all that for you, and it's going to be done in 2 minutes. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast and use code factorpodcast to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code factorpodcast at factormeals.com/factorpodcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. It's in the description of this episode. The link's right there. Go get Factor. Enjoy today's show. Well, I do see people like around our age with kids like running around. Like I'm in like the West Village, and like I have more questions than answers. Like I'm like,
right? How
are you doing this? Like how are you living? Like it's like when you see someone with a big dog in New York City, you're like, yeah. What are you doing to this dog? Like, why would you make it live this way? Like like, no yard, like
right.
I do have that. My inclination is judgment, I guess, with the kids. I'm also judging like this must be the, the Bezoses, like
I know.
Because
it's for billionaires. I thought having kids was for billionaires.
Right.
Like I thought it was like a billionaire hobby in New York to have a kid, and it turns out it kind of is. I'm not, I'm not making money like I was, and it's definitely been a fucking challenge. Like, but that being said, I look at like an 8-year-old in New York, and I'm like, this kid could survive anywhere.
Really?
Like, an 8-year-old in New York City has more street intelligence than a fucking 16-year-old in the suburbs.
Yeah, like, the way even just getting through, like problem solving and
right.
There's no awe. Like it's no like, oh my God, the homeless person, we've already done that at age 1. Yeah. Like we're already beyond that. Yeah.
We're past that. Yeah. We have names for them. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like my daughter's gonna be like, that's the weatherman or
right.
whatever. It's like some guy who's crazy who talks about the weather all day long.
Right.
Like I feel like, and I was open to, I was like, maybe we'll move out of the city once we have her. But then when she came out, she kind of looked at me like, who are you? Like the way that she sort of sees the world and the way that she meets new people, I just trust her in New York. Like she just has this.
She feels like a city kid.
Yeah, yeah.
Did we do a pit for being a mom?
I think we did. I think it's that. Just okay. That you can't really say that it sucks without people being like, right. Well, why'd you fucking do it?
Right. Peaks and pit being sober.
Being sober.
Yes.
Okay, so the peaks of being sober.
And do you talk about it on the special? Does it
what?
come up being sober on the special?
Not really. I talked about it in my first special, but I don't really talk about it in this one. I didn't have to like quit drinking when I got pregnant, so that was easy.
That's a peak.
That was a peak. Yeah. It's also a peak that like any bad decision that I've made is 100% my fault. Like I can't blame like alcohol. I can't blame being fucking stoned. It's like, yeah, that's on me. This
was all a clear-eyed decision.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. the the pit of it is like I don't there are places that I don't want to be and I cannot hide it. Like I have to be there,
Right.
but I can't hide how much I don't want to be there. So
Right.
that
Alcohol
sucks.
does like soften the blow of time,
Yeah, like a
like,
work party. I don't
right.
I can't fucking I don't want to be there. I know, and everybody thinks I've got like a bad attitude. It's like, no, I'm just sober, and you guys are
Right.
all hammered.
And
You
you're
know what I mean?
speaking 6 inches from my
From my
face
fucking
and
face.
getting
Yeah.
closer and not noticing it. Like,
Yes, and screaming,
right. Screaming and screaming is so
screaming. I'm
horrible.
feeling your
Yeah.
spit on my
Right.
nose.
And you
Yeah,
think this conversation's going well. Like you think
yeah.
you're killing it. Yeah.
No, yeah, you're smiling. Your eyes are scanning my face everywhere but my eyes. You're like,
Right.
you're making eye contact with every part of my face but my eyes. You know?
I don't even know what you're looking at. There might be a bug in the room the way you're looking around. Yeah.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah,
So the specials come out, it's out. You're gonna watch it.
yeah.
Are you going back on the road with the baby? What's do you have a plan for that? Is it like
Man, I don't have a fucking plan at all. I want
right.
to. I like going on the road with her. It's so fun.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, with the way my fucking algorithm's looking lately with all these fucking plane crashes, I think I might skip it. I
I
think I'll
mean,
leave her here.
I flew and I felt pretty. I was like, it was there were the two plane crashes, and then I went and flew, and I was like, the statistics are pretty good right now. Like it's
Okay, but here's the thing. Everybody's like, I keep seeing this where everybody's like, it's still the safest way to
mhm.
travel, but I'm like, it's also still the worst way to die.
Right. What would you think that's the worst way to? You think boiling in like a pot of water, like for a lobster, is better or worse than plane crash? I guess plane crash is
I'm not
worse.
talking about lobster deaths right now,
Okay.
Jared. We can't talk about
Real
lobster
death.
death.
Well, you put the
Okay?
lobster and you hear it go wee, like the air comes out of it, and you hear it wheeze, and you're like, it's kind of screaming at me. But no, I'm with you. I had a fear of flying. And I say had very loosely. I was bad growing up, and then
Yeah,
I kind of flew it out of me because like I know
yeah,
the noises, I know the dips, I know kind of like the difference between good turbulence, bad turbulence. It just
right.
I've kind of seen some things. I had a plane that was like going to land and then lifted right up and then went back down. Like you have these things that happen, and the
Yeah,
calmness of people in the airline industry, like they really don't. They really can't believe anyone would be afraid. Like they really.
yeah. Nothing really shocks them. It's kind of like every day. It does help me to look at them when I am worried. When I
It's the
just look
best
at the,
strategy.
yeah, you can just watch them, and if they don't seem concerned, it's like, oh, okay, we're good. But like, I did have this thought where I was like, I think I would rather burn alive than burn alive while plummeting to my
Falling to
death,
the ground.
and then hearing the lady next to me screaming at her husband while we're plummeting to our death. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like if you're, it's kind of like lobster death because you're hearing the other lobsters
Right.
screaming while you're like, well, I'm dying too, bitch. You know?
Right. And yeah, that's a bad way to go. I've had that. That's a nightmare I've had where the nightmare ends with me waking up when like me looking out the window or like turning and I can see the
Yeah,
turn, the turn, the turn, and we never stop turning. And that's when I wake up. Like I've had that
yeah.
nightmare over and over again.
Fuck. That's
That
so terrifying.
It's a pretty terrifying one. So now if I'm on a flight, I can like I'm seeing the thing I've already seen. Like if we turn
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah,
is this the
yeah, yeah,
premonition?
yeah.
Like did I have it right
Dude,
now?
that's
Pretty
so. I
wild.
had my recurring dream. It was a recurring nightmare, but it was
Yeah.
I would wake up. I would go somewhere and someone would tell me that they fucking drugged my drink with like, or like they put acid in my food. And I would find out that I was about to start tripping on acid.
Right.
And I would wake up like with this feeling of like, oh my God, I have to go through my day now,
Right.
like tripping on acid.
Oh my
And
God.
I've never done acid. I'd never wanted to. I don't want to know what's in the recesses of my mind like that, I'm good. You
I'm
know?
not into it either. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, no thanks.
But
So
that sticks with you. You wake up and you're like, is it happening? Is it not happening? Like I would have that feeling too.
yeah, yeah. And that shit is it does, it creeps into your real life. Like I would leave
Absolutely.
parties being like, did I eat anything weird? You know?
Right. Okay. Peaks and pits. We already did marriage because you talked about how it's like out of the way.
Yeah. It's really 100% right. Like
Do you
the
do you
peak.
watch how your husband takes care of the baby and you're like, I can't believe that's how he takes care of a baby? Or is he like, are you guys on the same page with that?
Um,
Like, I feel like my wife would see me like bending over and not bending my knees to pick up the baby, like being so lazy that she'd be like, I can't believe this is how he thinks this is
it's
all
not
going to
even that.
work.
It's like he'll pick her up like from her arms, like holding her wrists and like
Mm.
pick her up like that. And I'm like, you could literally pull her shoulder out of its socket. Like I have to like tell him basic shit where I'm like, just because she has a new body doesn't mean it doesn't break. You know,
Right.
like I'm like, you can't, she's not like made of rubber, you
Right.
know? So I've had to do things like that where I'm like, you can't roughhouse with like a newborn baby, you know? Like, and I can tell he wants to. Like
Right.
she would be like, 'cause she was a pretty substantial kid. Like by the time she
Mm.
was 16 weeks, she was like 19 pounds or something. Like it
You're
was
saying this to the wrong guy. This is
whatever. It was
when people tell me
she was
weights of
really
kids,
little
heights
and
of
she was
kids,
really
that is one of those things as a single guy. Any single man has no idea big baby, small baby. And if they
I
do, I'd be
know.
worried about that guy. I'd be like, what is your deal, dude? Because
Yeah, it is
like when
it's
someone's
an
like,
odd
oh, it's a
thing
really
to
tall baby, I'm like, how would I fucking know? What do you think? I like know the measurements? Like, oh, that's a big baby. Like women know that stuff. And I'm like, well, how do you know? Like, what
I
are you
don't think we do.
studying for
I
the
didn't
big
know that
day?
shit. I
Yeah.
actually hate when I do it because I never knew that shit before, and now I say it and I'm like, nobody knows what you're fucking talking about. But anyway,
Right.
she was big and
Yeah.
he would try to like swing her around and I'm like,
Hmm.
you cannot do that. Like I don't there were times when she wouldn't sleep and I was like rocking her like this and I'm like, does this count as shaking a baby? Like you know what I mean?
That is the
Where I'm
one
like,
thing you hear back from parents is like, there's a lot less direction than you think there's going to be. They kind of like just give this thing to you and they're like, well, good luck, like, and
yeah,
that is to me like, we all, I think that's the big reveal of growing up is that you grow up and you go, oh, no one knew how to do anything. No one knows how to go to work in the morning. Everyone's just kind of like,
yeah.
flying by their hips,
Seat of their
shooting off their
pants.
hips. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they really, I mean, you really are. It is wild. Like, the older I get, the more I'm like, oh, fuck, there really was no, I guess I assumed that everybody else had a manual, and I
Right.
was just fucking clueless.
Well, you think about like my parents, my grandmother used to always be like, I don't know how you came from that and that. And it was like really her just saying that my parents were like crazy, awful people. And I'm like, and it was, I guess, a compliment to me somehow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think about that a lot because I'm like, she kind of knew. She was like, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And he seems like a nice kid. How are they doing
Yeah.
this right? And it's like, it is such a crapshoot to have like a kid that doesn't like, do you think about your kid like fucking up, like getting, like, is that a thing you ever, like that you have her,
I
like,
can't tell you how many times I've looked at her and been like, I can't believe she's gonna call me a bitch and a whore and like slam her door in my face one day.
and you
You
hope
know,
that could be best case scenario.
that's best
Like,
case
that's the
scenario.
stuff you're expecting,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
like,
the amount of shit that, and I literally, like, I had stopped going to therapy for a little while because I was like, what, how much better? It's not like I'm great, but I'm like, I don't think there's not a lot left,
where's
you
this
know?
going?
Where's this going?
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm like, I feel like we got the big stuff,
Right.
And ever since she was born, or actually ever since she learned how to walk, that's when I was like, oh, I gotta go back. I gotta go back. Because I wasn't scared when she was a newborn. I was like,
Hmm.
I got her. She's here. There's nothing she can do without me. Now that she's like moving and walking and like starting to talk, I'm like, there is so much shit that can go wrong if I'm not watching her like 100% of the time, that I need to go back to therapy, because I'm like, I cannot accept that I have zero control over what happens when she like walks out into the world. Like that is so terrifying to me.
I get worried, like, even when my brother like drives home, like if we're like hanging out, and he used to drive back to Miami when we'd hang out in Boca at my parents' house, and I'd be like, I can't believe I'm nervous about this. This is an adult man.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm thinking, I'm like, did he get back? You know, like I have that in my head. I'm like, how am I going to survive such a thing?
Right. Yeah.
Well,
no, it's terrifying.
We're going to let you get back to your kid. You don't have to do this podcast anymore.
I hope I didn't just talk about her. I feel like
this is what I wanted to talk about. The special is about her in a way. You know, like it's called The Motherlode. It's on Netflix. I think what you're doing is special because there are people out there who get to feel heard and seen, and also there's people that don't know what's coming at them. Maybe they just got pregnant, you know, and like you're kind of like giving them something, you know, to make them feel less nervous. I gotta say, I did make it with like people in mind that don't want kids at all. Okay,
because
good.
I was like, most of this is going to be funny to people who don't want kids, no matter what. Like, if it speaks to them, that's all I give a fuck about, because if it speaks to them, it'll speak to everybody else. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing where it's like, if you can play Middle America, you can play the coasts.
Right. If you can play the coast, that doesn't mean you can play Middle America. Yeah. It doesn't go the other way. Yeah. Listen, everyone go watch it. It's called The Motherlode. We want you to watch it early. The first week matters. The first month matters. The second month, we're happy you watched it. We hope you come to a show, but you really fucked over Rosebud by not watching it in the first month. So go watch it. Enjoy it. Go follow Rosebud on all social medias. I'm Jared Freid. Every Wednesday, Chit Chat Wednesday, back next week. Boom.